Chapter 43. 100,000 Creods aboard the Aragasta submitted their lives to Sard. His battle cruiser's rusty hull extended more than an A-cross unit against the starry night. Green and red cruising lights flashed as the mighty vessel hummed through open space. No Azacar could match the Aragasta's size or battle readiness. He longed to watch his cluster Azakars gracefully accelerate off the upper decks into battle. He fully exposed his fangs and he thought of the Mantari inferiors and how he had annihilated them and spread his death empire on Altashar 16 reefs ago. After the battle, Tark had disappeared inside the Ta-Buhn-Shar shrine. His Awas would not share the glory once Sard located and destroyed the final 3 Mantari Urkums. Sard would find the Ta-Buhn-Shar hiding like cowards on one of the last Urkums. The Ta-Buhn-Shar had conquered his home Urkum and retreated, leaving the Mantari inferiors to occupy the swamps and the towers. The Ta-Buhn-Shar never intervened as the inferiors committed unforgivable atrocities. Sard would not achieve the revenge he needed until he murdered the last inferior and had removed the Ta-Buhn-Shar from the Humea. Only the complacent upper echelon leaders blocked his path. The upper echelon, established as a Creod council after Sard drove the inferiors off the home Urkum, had no interventions to conquer and destroy the enemies of the realm. Sard would no longer follow their orders. He wanted to extricate them from power by death and rule the realm himself. Sard studied the upper decks as he started down the incline. The upper echelon shunned him rather than acknowledge he saved the realm from the inferiors by establishing his death empire. They wanted to maintain the safe course and not ferret out the remaining Mantari Urkums. That strategy left the realm vulnerable to Ta-Buhn-Shar. Sard reasoned the Ta-Buhn-Shar appareage, although safely harbored in some unknown corner of the Humea, would someday challenge his Azakars and battle cruisers again. The upper echelon had forgotten the home Urkum occupation, but Sard's thoughts, like open wounds, surged with the interventions because of the spilled Creod saurine. His belt frame sounded and he took it with his grasper.
What is it?
Vargut Emnas is transmitting from his Azakar.
Sard wishes to speak with him now.
The frame signal faltered.
Vargut Emnas, I have news of another Mantari Urkum.
Roik, Sard has awaited your reply. Tell Sard of the Urkum. Is it their home Urkum, Roik?
An Urkum they call Al-Bashar. We have captured the inferiors and will present them to you, Vargut Emnas.
Sard is pleased by the news. You will be honored for your efforts. This roar will be remembered in glory. Describe the inferior Urkum's defense.
None. I offer this Urkum to the Aragasta. I wish Sard to have the satisfaction of the final and inferior annihilation into the Death Empire.
Sard is in your debt. Your present position, Roik.
20,000 A-cross units. Huta has inputted the position into the Aragasta's Nakidums.
The realm will eliminate Al-Bashar and every Mantari Urkum until the Ta-Buhn-Shar is found, and Sard will return in glory to the home Urkum.
I am your servant, Vargut Emnas.
Sard never forgets loyalty.
Sard continued along the span and gazed over the hundreds of bright hull lights below. His fangs touched his lips as he compressed his graspers without extending his craw. At last he would share the glory of another battle. Soon the other Urkums would fall, and he would find the Ta-Buhn-Shar to engage in the final battle predicted in the ancient Mantari writings. His serrated, curved gray craw finally extended beyond his graspers as he turned to his frame.
Get me Anka.
The older, weakened voice vibrated on the frame.
This is Anka.
Sard brings you news of another Mantari Urkum about to fall to the Death Empire.
News of glory. Perhaps worthy of discussion in the Echelon Towers.
Silver uniformed Selvets dropped to their knees as he passed in the open corridor. Sard will join you. Prepare a Kanta potion. He heard Anka's lip vibrate in jest.
Do you still trust me to sustain a contact potion?
We will celebrate more inferior deaths and prepare for the Hamian Sutra Games.
It shall be.
Sard touched the pad and the wall opened from a tiny black pinhole and closed quickly once he was inside the ulsul. Anka's thin body frame floated in the shimmering low-intensity blue yestic fields. At Galga, his once powerful friend participated in personal combat. His body shell had faded to a frosty blue semblance of its once great strength. His matrices were swollen and cloudy. Sard would not demonstrate pity. Anka still possessed the inner vengeance and would carry out his duty gallantly. The yestic fields dampened and Anka slowly rotated upright. Sard lifted a silver absorption cluster from the table. He gripped the sharp edges and moved the cluster to Anka. The Kanta seeped into his long grasp of membranes and calmed his aggression. Anka held the edges.
Sard proposes death to the last vestige of the Ta-Buhn-Shar.
To the ultimate triumph of our race.
Sard will not cross what you say.
We have seen many battles. We have struggled on the home Urkham, and were first alerted when the Ta-Buhn-Shar contacted the Danyo settlement. Sard retracted his graspers from the cluster. He sat on the rester and let the Kanta drain his thoughts. Anka was seated in the smaller rester across the table when he scanned again with his matrix.
Danjos was many reefs ago.
So were the first battles in the Awen Mountains. The Ta-Buhn-Shar placed Alpin shooters on the surrounding Urkhams. You were a Proaska, and I a Vargut. Only your superior battlefield maneuvers brought them down.
675,000 Selvets fell. Sard will avenge those deaths. We were forced back to the home Urkham. We fought and they still pushed us back. Inferiors on our home Urkham. Sard will never forgive this.
Eventually, the invaders were removed and we recovered all the realm's settlements and Urkhams.
The Ta-Buhn-Shar returned to fight Sard at Galga, but they fled.
Sard diminished his matrices and leaned his torso back.
Yet Sard cannot find them, nor can his advanced Azakars. Their amperage is gone.
The captured works of the Ta-Buhn-Shar tell much. At my advanced age, I have to ponder the inner thoughts of their civilization.
Let them have their inferior inner thoughts.
Sard kept his matrices dull.
Sard only wants them to reside in the Death Empire.
Anka said nothing for a long time, and Sard felt the hum of the vessel. Sard, all of the conquered Urkhams have references to Ta-Buhn-Shar. It is said that Ta-Buhn-Shar joins with minds. Ta-Buhn-Shar may have left our very dimension. Their Seba is quite detailed. The actual Mantari designation is the Juriant Dafina Seba, which means the ancient knowledge. I have read only parts of the Seba.
Ramblings of inferiors,
said Sard. He scanned his matrices as Anchor leaned toward him. Ramblings or prophecy? The words speak of the final battle, perhaps the greatest battle.
They have you believing their stories.
No, Sard, no. He looked up, his strained voice weakened. Pay heed to what is written. Use the information in your battle planning. The Seba speaks of the Suryaf Khan journeying to lead the Mantari against us.
How would they know such things?
Anka's matrices wavered when he stood. He trudged across his osel and opened a panel in the dark wall. With his graspers, he held a thick, frayed-bound book. He set it on the rough-edged table. The Seba was confiscated before we won at Gan Aliad in the 4th Mantari Urkham. The references to the Suryaf Khan repeat throughout the writings.
Sard finds the words of inferiors not of substance.
Anka opened the book to a place marked with a faded gold ribbon. From the first millennium, he will arrive from a distant land for the final battle. All depends on he who has been awaited. History's road leads to reflections of the final battle. What was will be again. O Mantari, allow him to chart his way. He is the Surrey of Khan, leading the unbelievers from the planet's heart. Let them fight one another.
Silence, Anka! Enough of inferior thoughts!
Anka slowly closed the book and rested it on his leg appendage. Sard!
Is Sard supposed to reverse the Aragosta's course and hide on the home Urkham? Should he run from this Surrey of Khan?
It is prudent to know the words. Sard stood abruptly.
What should Sard expect from a race that worships Ta-Buhn-Shar? Predilections of weak minds, having to convince themselves their inevitable deaths are something more than the cessation of life.
May the Juriat Dafiana Saber go the way of its authors, the lost civilization of Ta-Buhn-Shar, into the Death Empire.
Sard will not challenge your position.
He activated his Nakitum. You are checking the tactical from Roik, and you will send the report to the upper echelon.
Sard will notify them of Proaska Roik's discovery.
The red and yellow tactical showed al-Bashar still far away. Sard touched the Nakitum. The Selvets sat in their positions around the Ician rim.
Sard wishes to reach the upper echelon on the Orsborg channel.
It will be done, Vargut Emnas,
said Juru at the contact station. The echelon will be elated by the news, said Anka.
Sard is not so sure. His greatest concern is the realm will not be prepared. We must bolster our readiness.
Anka released the cluster and faced Sard. Surely they must understand Mantari treachery. Only fools would not.
How soon they forget the past. Sard does not think the members deserve the positions they hold.
Bold words, even for a Vargut Gammon.
These are the words that Sard knows to be true. Lowering our guard would spell doom for all 79 Urkhams of the realm.
The Nakitum slowly beeped and showed a depiction of the Orsborg channel's shielded communication across the Humea to his home Urkham. He visualized the three upper echelon members materializing from their offices above the clouds.
Sard's always Tark perfected the Orsborg. Sard needs Tark's cleverness as a Rubicon now.
We have linked, Vargut Emnas.
Anka's also shifted with the incoming signal, and the sloping glass of the echelon towers formed along the outside wall. The pale magenta sky brightened above the gray fluffy clouds. Both of the home Urkhams surrounding red Urkhams shone near the dark horizon. The three most powerful Creods in the realm conferred at a black triangular table. Echelon timidity and the lack of military background hindered their ability to carry out proper decisions. According to protocol, Sard fell to his knees.
You may rise, Sard,
said Ayak. Sard loathed his dull, rambling voice. Ayak had worked his way through the legislative chambers and understood politics, but knew nothing of security. He only cared about presenting the proper image.
The echelon has been notified of your pending report, Vargut Emnas. You have submitted a report on some Urkham mission, Vargut,
added Fronde. He turned to the leader of the group. What do you think, Bojack? The little Creod stood squarely across the room.
I want to know the details of this Urkham contact.
Sard is pleased to announce the sighting of the 7th Mantari Urkham, al-Bashar.
I see.
Another step closer to the Mantari elimination into the Empire of Death.
Botchak's upper lip vibrated and his matrix swirled blue under the mesh.
Do you really think this contact is a significant military security problem?
Sard fought the movement of his fangs.
Excellency, surely you can understand the Mantari threat.
Botchak stepped closer.
Threat? Maybe the Mantari and the Ta-Buhn-Shar have been threats in the past, but where are they now?
Mantari are a direct threat to the realm,
said Sard in a louder voice.
To deny that reality is to deny the security of the realm.
We, Vargut, will make that decision. Yes, and we all agree,
said Ayak.
It is the opinion of the Echelon that continued Mantari campaigns are not profitable to the realm. Yes,
added Fronde.
Our patience for your obsession and amusement is both costly and useless.
Sard would have killed him with his craw had they been standing in front of him.
The ability of Ta-Buhn-Shar to shield themselves is the ultimate enigma.
Yes, we understand that,
said Ayak, checking his Nakitum on the table.
Ta-Buhn-Shar has been missing since Golgar, countless reefs ago,
said Bocek.
The inferiors are a threat,
stated Sard, turning away as the tops of his fangs pushed outward.
Only the Death Empire will stop them.
There will be no Death Empire,
said Bocek. Sard's fangs moved outward, but he quickly retracted.
You persist in calling these creatures inferior,
said Fronde.
All Mantari are inferior.
Bocek's lip vibrated.
Then how is it these inferiors elude you?
Sard kept his back shell away from them. His fangs sharpened near his chin and his craw pulsed, ready to swipe a deadly swath.
The Humea is a vast...
Where is the Ta-Buhn-Shar, Sard?
asked Bocek.
Sard insists they have survived.
The upper echelon fools, hidden in their tower, away from the tensions of battle and reality. Sard retracted his fangs and turned.
Why do you discount the reports Sard has gained from each of his victories? Scurrilous reports,
answered Bocek.
If the Ta-Buhn-Shar still existed, they would have come to the aid of their own Urkums. They do not exist.
The saber of the Ta-Buhn-Shar speaks of the final battle,
said Sard.
That time has not yet arrived, but the battle is predicted. We must be prepared for the Ta-Buhn-Shar to emerge from hiding. Sard intends to win that final battle.
Bocek again moved closer. Sard could easily crush Bocek's head quickly.
Ta-Buhn-Shar is a self-perpetuated myth, like all myths designed to help combat the harshness of reality.
What do you tell Sard?
Your orders, Vargut Garmin, are to destroy Al-Bashar, the 7th Ta-Buhn-Shar Urkum. Like all the other conquered Urkums, it will be colonized and a suitable atmosphere created. But when this campaign is over, you will bring the Aragosta back to the home Urkum. The Mantari campaigns will be over, and we will celebrate in the assembly hall with our people.
Before Sard could respond, the upper echelon vanished on the Orsborg channel. His thin yellow tongue twitched between his exposed fangs. He tightened his graspers and flailed about Anchor's ossel.
They fear Sard. They fear Sard amongst his people. They will not push Sard aside and send him to some remote region of the Humea. Sard will never comply with these orders.
Defying the upper echelon is not an option. Sard walked up to his old friend and scanned his matrices.
Sard is searching.
For what?
Power. Power over them. Power over his people. Sard deserves nothing less than total power as a reward for his victories. The realm boasts of 79 Urkums, soon to be 80, all due to the campaigns of Sard. While they stood sedentary in their precious towers, protected and shielded, Sard performed the risks of battlefield duties. Sard marched with his Selvates and never renounced the fight.
What are you saying?
Sard is saying, old friend, that when this Mantari Urkum Al-Bashar is taken, Sard will indeed return to the home Urkum as they have requested. But Sard will not submit to fools. He will return in glory to consume the upper echelon into the Death Empire. For Sard wishes nothing less than to take the home Urkum and assume power over the realm and its people.
Chapter 44. As Sard's Azakar break deep into the Urkum surround,
The Nakidim screen showed a primitive city with no high buildings. Royk's position in the meadow flashed red on the tactical portion of the screen. This meadow would provide a good staging area where Sard could crush the inferiors. Air pushed out the side thrusters as the Azakar now descended vertically into the open area, settled into place on the ground. Even through the Ceres, the Al-Basharian Azor stung his matrices, and he quickly moved the protector into place. The port whooshed open. In anticipation of his arrival, two Selvat contingents faced each other and fell on their appendages as he marched in his silver battlesuit down the ramp.
Rise,
He ordered.
Westix!
The contingent thrust their glistening Westics into the inferior air. Sard scanned the meadow. Royk promised the sacrifice of one inferior for each of the realm's 79 Urkhams. He faced Sard again and raised his Westic.
Hail, Sard! Vargut Emnas!
Other Selvets marched the line of minuscule, light-skinned inferiors into the clearing. Some were beaten and others already had gaping wounds, but all were able to walk. The cowards silently stood before Sard in the glare of the Al-Basharian Azores.
What have you prepared, Royk?
Asked Sard.
Vargut Emnas, I present to you the enemies of the realm.
The enemies of the realm are accepted.
He dragged his Westic from the sheath and faced the inferiors. A few whined in their groveling alien tongues. Sard's upper lip vibrated as he lifted the Westic's sharp edge and whacked the nearest inferior's shoulder, slicing off its appendage. Red inferior saurine splattered over the grass. Sard could feel the interventions thrive as the inferiors wailed and others raced forward. Alert Selvets quickly cut them down. Sard lowered his Westic again and severed the screaming inferior's other appendage. The useless creature fell to the ground, screeching in pain as it squirmed and slithered to its death on the grass.
Suffer the sins of your inferior race into the Death Empire.
Carry forth your destiny,
Shouted Royk. Sard's Selvets wielded their Westics with great efficiency before the first inferiors expired. The cries for pity amidst the raw flesh energized him. He joined the Selvets in the saurine-drenched slaughter and hacked off the inferiors' heads and appendages. A few stray moans soon faded to a deathly, victorious silence.
Vargut Emnas, I have the honor of presenting the Urkham, Al-Bashar, to you.
And what is the foremost desire of the contingent, Proaska?
The desire of the contingent is to take this Urkham for the greater glory of the realm.
Sard accepts your challenge.
He grabbed his fram and summoned the Aragasta.
Sard has accepted the challenge of his Selvar contingents. Begin the destruction of Al-Bashar, but save this main village until the end. Sard wishes to inflict his own form of terror.
Instantly, compressed green peakwood pushed through the distant, high, thin clouds. Along the horizon, debris lifted into the air, forming cloud trails that signaled the beginning of the carnage. Sard gazed up at the tree-lined hill to an inferior building with a strange blue tower.
Everything will be destroyed after the hunt.
Royk fell in homage.
You have my loyalty as a Vargut of the realm.
You have lived the destiny of a Proaska, and Sard is proud that you serve him.
I am in service to you alone, Vargut Emnas.
You may rise.
He said, looking again toward the tower.
Sard wishes additional placement information on the remaining Al-Basharian positions.
It will be done, Vargut Emnas.
He motioned to one of his Rubicons. He carried a square Nakidim across the meadow. Sard studied the red and yellow depiction.
5 main cities around the Urkham. It is glorious. Thousands are dead.
The other inferiors, Royk.
Sard placed his saurine-covered Westic back at its sheath.
Inferiors have been suspended in the field until the Hamian Salter Games.
Sard needs amusement for the voyage to the home Urkham.
Royk followed him away from the Selvets.
During what is to come, Sard also needs your undying loyalty, Royk.
I will give my life for you, Vargut Emnas.
The Selvets opened up their shooters and vaporized additional inferior corpses. Sard brought Roik along the smoldering trees away from the drifting, pungent odor of the inferior dead.
Our next campaign will not be directed against the Mantari or the Ta-Buhn-Shar.
I do not understand. Roik's matrix is dulled. Do we have a new enemy, Vargut Emnas?
Our enemy is our old enemy. An enemy who thinks in outdated terms. An enemy that will not give the Vargut Emnas the respect he deserves. Our enemy is powerful and resourceful. The enemy must be squeezed from a position of power. Sard will choke the shipping lanes and recruit Selvets of the realm to do his bidding. Sard will extinguish the weakness and create a new sense of purpose worthy of our heritage.
And who is the enemy, Vargut Emnas?
The enemy is the upper echelon.
Chapter 45. At dawn, atop the fortress spires, the Tolton watched in amazement as the mass of aliens advanced like huge green animals over the ridge grass. The Plafka's shield protected the fortress from the energy out of the sky. How would he stop the hordes from marching through the gates? Hundreds of his Elnir soldiers were ready inside the courtyard gates. The Elnir had placed additional loyal subjects along the fortress turrets and barrier walls. They leaned forward with crossbows, probably in abject fear of encountering the powerful alien weapons. And where was precious Ta-Buhn-Shar? While they had left the defensive shield, would they suddenly reappear from their long-imposed exile? His personal Elnir guard, eyes glossy and beard stubble dark in the morning sun, gazed out over the ridges. Parent, what hope do we really have? I do not see any hope, Tolton. They are armed and will do what their sky weapons could not do. Perhaps you should formulate surrender terms. Surrender to be tortured and murdered? In the meadow where he rode the Alphras every morning, thousands of silver uniforms moved onto the dirt road from the tall grass. Even from a distance he saw their blue mesh eyes embedded in their oversized green heads. Then we will all go down together. Or flee the ancient catacombs. I will flee only if there is no hope. He drew his sword from the clean leather holder. Years of competition in the fortress would never prepare him for this battle. He studied the morning shadows across the meadows one final time and fixed the images in his mind should he die on this day. He marched with Perrin down the darkened spire steps, lightened occasionally by an open window. The Elnir soldiers cheered when he reached the barrier wall. Gripping his sword, he walked stiffly to the wall, overlooking the soldiers in the courtyard. I want your leadership, Tolton, said Perrin. The Tolton faced the soldiers in the courtyard and along the barrier wall. Ours has always been a planet of peace. Love and friendship have been our values. But now we face an ancient foe from the sky. That foe has chosen to stake out Al-Basharian soil. I accept their challenge. He pushed his sword upward. We will fight the hordes in the meadow, on the river plains and at the fortress walls, until we have vanquished their shadows off the sacred soil of our planet. Your commands, Tolton, asked Perrin. Elnir masters, stand by your bows. 100 elite soldiers in brown leather cloaks raised their black polished bows over the fortress walls. The aliens, silver uniforms reflecting in the sun, swayed in unison until they marched toward the fortress. He longed to puncture their green-shelled bodies with his sword, but as he prepared to give the order, he kept wondering if the Ta-Buhn-Shar would end the pending carnage. Sard marched ahead of his Selvet columns. He saw the Urkham lead his Ossel across the clearing. Nakidim's scans showed the inferior Selvets packed behind high gates and along the upper stone walls. Again he grabbed the Fram from his belt.
Uda, hit them again. Shake them.
It will be done, Vargut Emnas. Shooter fire pulsed from the sky, but the green peak was scattered over a rounded area above the village.
The treachery of Ta-Buhn-Shar. Only they could have left this field in place. They must be here. Here on Al-Bashar.
Do your orders stand, Vargut Emnas? Asked one of the Proaskas behind him. Sard checked the enlarged view on his Nakitum. The inferiors stood on the upper wall fortifications. Sard's standing order demanded the Selvets loop their form ladders over the high walls and slay the defenders valiantly. His Selvets would have a taste of Mantari Sorin. He clipped his fram and waved his grasper.
To the ground!
As the Proaskas relayed the order down the column, stambics whizzed above. Several Selvets fell. Others plucked the stambics from their shells. Sard stormed ahead of the column and personally fired his shooter along the wall, brushing the inferiors back inside. Even though his shooter functioned under the high shield, he wanted to savor the ground combat. He drew his Westic and held it high as his inner vengeance soared.
Death to all inferiors! Death, death, that they should shed Creod Sorin!
He charged through the village gates toward the fortifications ahead. His Selvets created the enhancing glowing blue ladders and sent the claw anchors over the high-formed walls. The inferiors ceased shooting their stambics. A second Selvet group produced ramming rods and smashed them against the front gates. He followed his Selvets up the ladders and over the top. The inferiors, huddled under the canopy, retreated along the wall. As he led his Selvets forward, he swung his Westic wildly, and he relished the invigorating sound of metal slicing through Mantari flesh. One of the Mantari Selvets rushed him, yelling and cursing in a foreign tongue. He hacked off a portion of the inferior's head and lanced the body of another approaching defender. The dead lay scattered on the worn stone walkway and stairs. Sard was about to move toward his Selvets when one of the inferiors leaped from the overhang. With his fangs fully exposed, Sard swiped his claw into the inferior's arm, and the creature dropped his sword. He moved quickly and pierced the inferior at the waist. Then he gnawed at its appendage. Parts of the corpse fell to the stone, and Sard chewed on the rest of the ripped red flesh. Ahead, his Selvets chased the defenders off the upper wall and down the stairs. More Creods broke through the main gates. A mass of inferiors staggered back. His Selvets could now attack from 2 points. As he turned, one of the inferiors, dressed in a bright red uniform, spoke in a loud voice at the end of the wall. Sard activated his appendage Nakitum so he could hear the words. The Mantari held up a thin Westic in his hand.
I am the Tolton. You come to destroy my people.
You are an inferior, and your race of inferiors deserve to die.
Better to die than to submit to you.
The Tolton bravely moved closer, gently swaying his Westic.
I will kill you.
Sard respects a brave Selvet, even an inferior Selvet. Sard may spare you from the Death Empire.
The Tolton raised his Westic. Sard easily smashed it, but the Tolton retrieved it, and he again lunged at Sard. Sard's upper lip vibrated as he swung his grasper into the Tolton's protective bones. The Tolton fell onto the stone walkway, holding his mid-cavity. Sard placed his Westic blade against the light-skinned inferior's neck.
You are part of a worthless race.
Kill me so I won't see your sickening form.
A brave inferior. A worthy competitor. Sard will use you, the leader of the fallen inferiors in the Hamian Salter Games. Or perhaps you will rise and have your Selvets surrender, like the cowards they are.
Never. You are all butchered.
In the courtyard, his Selvets rumbled forward, swinging their Westics as they mowed down the inferiors. The Tolton rolled and scrambled. Before Sard could catch him, he had disappeared down the stairs ahead.
Sard will find you, and will cut your inferior shell into 1,000 pieces.
Chapter 46. The Tolton, fearing the end of the world, again descended the torch-lit stairs. Staying above would accomplish nothing, as his Elner had all fallen in the courtyard. He returned to the Plavka for answers. The air dampened, and he emerged in the flickering firelight along the corridor's moist rock walls. As he ran, the rock shook from the battle above. He heard Nevis resonating through the open chamber door. The other Plafka were seated behind the pyramid in the darkened chamber. "Nevis! Nevis! The aliens are in the fortress!" Nevis slowly looked up. "The time grows short." "Do something," said the Tolton as he grabbed him. "Nothing can be done. You must leave. The ancient answers will lead you to the passageway out." "No, I cannot flee my people." "Your people are dead. There is no hope other than following the ancient Ta-Buhn-Shar words and leave." "And where are the Ta-Buhn-Shar?" asked the Tolton. "Where are they now?" Nevis placed his hand on the Tolton's shoulder. "That is not important. You are the survivor, and you may be the Suryaf Khan." "Ta-Buhn-Shar mythology, there is no hope." "I tell you what I believe to be the truth." Nevis held his arm and shuffled toward the wall. He nodded to the other Plafka members, still resonating by the pyramid. But he turned when the huge walls separated. A soft filtered light spread gradually across the inner walls. The white edges of a straight canal, filled with an odd, luminous green fluid, extended from the chamber floor. "How can this be? I am not aware of this." "From a time of the first Tolton, this is your salvation," said Nevis. The canal extended to a long curved shore of rich green-hued liquid extending to the black horizon. "Who built this?" "Perhaps you have been faulty in your judgment of Ta-Buhn-Shar." "I question everything about Ta-Buhn-Shar." He wandered away from the Plafka and walked along the surface to the glowing canal. A distant vessel hugged the shore of an endless green sea. Would the boat somehow travel to other lands and reach Ta-Buhn-Shar? "Trust in Ta-Buhn-Shar," said Nevis. Down the canal, the warped white bow of the vessel rocked within the luminous green fluid. "How do I pilot such a boat? Where is the wind?" Nevis lifted his clear cruxel. "The cruxel is ancient and contains the simple messages, if you believe." "It's transparent. Nothing is written on this." The Tolton grabbed the cruxel, tucked it in his garment, and started down the canal. "Accept and trust," said Nevis as he followed. "The words will come once you believe." "Bold promises!" The Tolton's anger at the Ta-Buhn-Shar intensified as he neared the boat. "I don't understand how the total death of a planet can be condoned. Is this Ta-Buhn-Shar's compassion?" "Trust and accept." "I shall do neither. Ta-Buhn-Shar, if not mere legend, must be held accountable for the destruction of my planet. Wherever I am to go, I will rise again as the Tolton." The Tolton studied the upper rail and flat, perforated, copper-colored sails as they approached. A thin white plank extending over the glowing canal connected the deck with the slab. "Ta-Buhn-Shar provides." "Am I just to walk on this vessel and trust that Ta-Buhn-Shar will safely deliver me to paradise?" "You are young. You can chart a new life where you say you will rise again as Tolton." "And where are the supplies? How do I eat? This is a death sentence." "You must first learn to trust." Nevis dropped to his knees and sat back. He crossed his legs and lifted his fingertips to his temples. As Nevis entered into a deep state of resignation, the Tolton had an odd compunction. Something beckoned him upward, and he stepped onto the plank. A wide, grainy surface covered the deck of the vessel. Lower stairs were situated further down the boat. He jumped onto the deck, and a burst of colored particles emerged through the minute holes in the sails. The boat lurched and coasted forward as the plank vanished into the green glow. "Nevis, what have you done?" Nevis remained in resignation, and the Tolton took the cruxel in his hands. He still saw no writing on the clear surface and was about to hurl it overboard. Instead, he dipped his knees and the boat rocked again. More sweeps of brilliant colored dots passed through the sails and illuminated the blackness above. He could see the Plavka's room for the longest time. As the boat gained speed, he stared at the Cruxel. Then he grabbed the solid mast and continuously rocked the boat. The white shoreline in Nevis's form moved farther away as the particles trailed overhead. Trust was something thrust upon him like an elixir. He might find a future life if he did not die on this lifeless sea. Chapter 47. Most inferiors were either in transit to the Aragasta's Yestic fields, or their skulls prepared for the Death Empire. Sard's inner vengeance dictated he swipe his craw across the Tolton's neck. In the course of torturing, one of the inferiors betrayed his own Selvets and spoke of rooms below the fortress. He and his Selvets soon waddled through a constricted tunnel below the Tolton's Hallowseal. Light shone onto the rocks ahead. The Selvets pointed their shooters inside a port in the rocks. One of the Selvets stepped back into the tunnel. "We have found the chamber, Vargut Garmin. Unarmed inferiors."
Is the Tolton inside?
"We do not see him." Sard ducked through the opening and swayed his Westic before three aging inferiors seated in front of a clear pyramid matching the monolith on Altashar. The old one watched his Selvets, and the rest of the fools kept their appendages perched at their temples. Sard knew the Ta-Buhn-Shar resonating ritual.
Do you pray to Ta-Buhn-Shar to have a quick death?
In death, we will all join Ta-Buhn-Shar,
said the one closest to him.
Where are they?
The inferior shook his head.
Where is the Tolton?
We have not seen the Tolton. We assume that he is dead.
Liar! The rest of you inferiors, stand before Sard.
We are the Plavka, the Tolton's advisors,
said the third member.
You have no business being here.
Sard advanced rapidly and sliced the inferior's neck with his craw. His head tumbled across the floor and saurine beaded on Sard's silver uniform.
Sard will kill you all. Look at the body of the coward you call friend. Do you wish the same fate, inferior?
One of them stepped closer.
I am but an aging Albasharian, and I despise your alien ugliness.
Insolence!
Let us kill him for you, Vargut Emnas, called out one of the Selvets. Sard removed his shooter and touched the pad. Green Aptar light danced around the room and surrounded the inferior until he was gone.
No one challenges Sard.
Your orders, Vargut Emnas.
Sard's orders are to chop the remaining inferior body into small pieces and place it in the Yestic food bins for consumption by the other inferiors. And then destroy this room.
He dipped his head as he moved into the darkened hall and pulled out his fram.
Roik!
Yes, Vargut Emnas.
Roik, Sard has not located the Tolton. Prepare shooter reserves for complete vaporization of this Urkum when Sard returns to the vessel.
It will be done, Vargut Emnas.
As he hunched over again and started back, he heard the wailing of the last Plavka member. His upper lip vibrated. Near the stairs, his Selvets hurried down the tunnel with the collected skulls piled into a transport bag. Other Selvets pointed their shooters back to the room. A bright blue light lit the hall. A few explosions shook the rocks as Sard's fram sounded.
Vargut Emnas, this is Huda. Defensive shield has fallen.
Sard grows weary of this place.
And what of the Tolton?
The Tolton will not survive the vaporization of this Urkum's surface.
Sard entered the Death Empire's dim light. Upper Nakidums directed selected light down on the remnants of a battle from reefs in the past. In the distance, Selvets loaded fresh interior skulls onto the wall gallery. Sard nodded as he passed the dried, browned inferior skulls, stretching down like a road along the length of the Aragasta.
Sard has their skulls, but where is Ta-Buhn-Shar?
He shouted.
We We have scanned the entire Urkum. Nothing, Vargut Garmin.
Said his Selvit. And below, why no energy source, as the other Urkums? Destroy this inferior Urkum. Sard stared at the inferior skulls. The stench of the inferior dead in the Death Empire only heightened his annoyance with this Urkum. The clustered Anketas, their mating rituals, and the lack of progress demonstrating their inferiority as a race. Creod life started from within at the proper time. Every last one of these vile creatures deserved death, and the entire civilization needed to be erased from the Humea. Not having the Tolton skull on the Aragasta made conquering this Urkum a useless victory. Of more importance, Sard's attack on the realm required detailed planning and secret alliances. Sard had ultimate respect throughout the realm. He would do anything to topple the upper echelon from power. The small Azakar wafted at the locks, the doors closed, and the pressure gushed into the area. Sard placed his shooter back on his belt and stood. He said nothing to his Selvits as he marched into the Azakar opening. It slid open and Sard walked into the bays. Selvits fell to the ground, but Sard headed for the Thasian tube's red light. He was surprised to see Anchor in full uniform. "Glory to you, Sard, Vargut Garmin," he said from the floor. Sard helped him stand. "Again, you have performed with honor." Sard nodded and the Thasian opened.
Sard wishes to be brought to the Ician.
The tube sealed and Anchor stared at him as they moved upward. "You have conquered another Ta-Buhn-Shar Urkum, yet you act as if you have lost the battle."
Sard failed to apprehend the Albasharian leader.
"This Urkum will be destroyed and later colonized. As far as what the upper echelon might order, I believe you have taken the proper course for the realm." Sard did not even scan the older Creod's faded matrices.
The Echelon knows nothing of battle. Let them sit in their towers, issue useless orders. Like any remaining life on Albashar, time is running out for the upper echelon. Sard is ready to move against them.
The tube opened at the Ician. Sard walked ahead of Anchor, pushed the Selvits aside, and positioned himself at the weapons console. The Nakidim showed all the shooter reserves fully charged. Sard personally set the coordinates on the Tolton's fortress.
Vargut Garmin,
Said Roik from behind.
I congratulate you on your victory.
Sard stared at the yellow schematic of the forces in the blue circular areas of impact.
Sard will only be pleased when there is no life left on this Urkum.
"Another message has been received from the upper echelon." Sard looked up from the Nakidim screen.
And what do they want now?
They wanted to stop the destruction of Albashar. Sard's fangs slid along his mouth.
Fools. They will get what Sard decides to give them. Huta, set up the Orzbord channels near the main power bundles. Sard wants a deliberate interference with the Echelon contact.
"It will be done, Vargut Garmin." "And the shooters?"
Keep the shooters charged. The Tolton and any survivors have been granted a reprise until Sard speaks with the upper echelon.
Anka scanned his old friend. "This is the first act of a rebellion."
Sard will not be dictated to, as if he had just left his birth shell and is crawling through the swamps.
Sard faced Anchor next to the giant humming orange piles as the Orzbord channel opened. The consoles and Nikidims were slowly transformed into a choppy image of the chambers at the Echelon towers. Bochak leaned on the triangular black table. The tips of his pink fangs were still visible.
What is the problem with this Orzbord?
The other Echelon members hunkered behind Bochak as Sard dropped to his knees.
Sard is responsible for the Orzbord.
He wanted to kill them all with his Westic.
The Aristoga is experiencing problems with its power bundles.
The Echelon would hope you would not experience difficulty in returning to the home Urkum immediately.
Yelled Bochak.
The Aristoga is immobilized. Rubicans and Selvats are trying to rectify the problem.
Ayak, moved around the table.
Are you saying you will be delayed in returning to the home, Urkham? We cannot fully view you. I will only tell you not to destroy that Urkham. We have decided that the Mantari campaigns have come to an end. You will be elevated upon your arrival at the home Urkham and reassigned to a more peaceful command.
Sard is honored.
He lowered his head so they could not see his fully extended fangs.
You will become a Vargut Gaman in the Sortine sectors.
Being relegated to the Sortines would leave him in an isolated region of the Humea with no military power. As a military Gaman, he would be planted among settlers and traders.
It will be done.
The Orsbort went out. Sard pummeled the console and hurled a huge corner chunk across the room. His yellow tongue twitched as he slammed 3 salvets to the floor on his way to the Thasian. Anka stepped aside before the tube was sealed. They moved through the grainy red light.
Sard will kill them all. Sard will crush them and their cohorts out of existence.
The cross slept through the Thasian field.
They threaten the very existence of the realm's security.
I am sorry, Vargut Garmin.
How dare they send Sard to the Sortines? They do not understand Sard's support within the realm. Let Sard's allies see the injustice of such an act. Creod, Selvots, and Proaskas will be honored to fight with Sard again. He will only need 2 Ampri Jazzicars with the Aragosta. Maybe a few freighters. Sard will cut their food lines and halt all Azakars moving in commerce with the home Urkham.
Bold plans, Vargut Garmin.
Yes, old friend. Bold plans. You will summon Elkin for Sard. Elkin helped plan the Mantari campaigns. Find him. Bring him back for his final campaign.
It will be done, Vargut Garmin. And what of Al-Bashar?
Let Roik and Huda have the glory. Sard will seek the Mantari and the Ta-Buhn-Shar again. Let us test what you have read in their Seba. Prepare for the final battle of the Suryaf Khan.
Chapter 48. Loftus walked the deck by night as he had for 153 days. His beard, although trimmed, spouted gray hairs amidst the auburn blend. Zach's darker whiskers gave him a grisly appearance. Half an hour ago, a tiny glow appeared for the first time on the horizon. Loftus ran to the railing and called across the endless energy sea. Although he was not sure of the true distance, both he and Zach thought they had spotted several people navigating the passageway on a bright vessel moving at a fast clip. The hull and everyone aboard glowed a heightened blue as if they were a ghost ship and not really there. The vessel, still some distance away, moved on a direct course toward Loftus and Zach. I see them, but it's like a portal projection, Zach. The outlined vessel approached rapidly, but the glowing hull occupied the space of the green energy. It's coming right at us. Why? Could be some kind of attraction through time. Loftus's mouth slowly opened when he observed Kath, DeLuca, and John, all outlined in blue, aboard the oncoming boat. It's them. They must see us in the same way, Captain. Loftus waved. In a delayed reaction, all 3 waved at Loftus around 10 seconds later. How is this possible? What's going on? Zach put his hand on Loftus's shoulder. Tom, we both agree we're traveling inside this wormhole, but so are they. They're traveling at another time. Loftus nodded as he kept his eyes fixed on the boat. Of course. They're behind us in time. They must have escaped Bathurst. The boat moved rapidly through the energy several hundred yards away. I'll give it a minute. Then what? I'm not sure. Whether we go below or not, it won't make any difference. We could end up in the drink. Zach nodded near the railing. DeLuca stood next to John and Kath on the other boat. Strangely, no sound accompanied the approaching boat. Kath held on to John while DeLuca remained firm at the edge. Here we go, Captain. The boat frame passed through the railing and hull. A bright blue luminescence infiltrated the area, along with a massive static electricity charge. In seconds, the vessel had passed, and the blue outline soon faded across the green sea. Both men scanned the dark horizon after the disappearance. "Do you see anything, Captain?" asked Zach several minutes later. Loftus turned as his friend started up the stairs. "Nothing." Zach furrowed his brow. "We can't be sure this passageway leads to the same place, or if we're really inside some kind of dimensional warp. These boats could end up anywhere. They could even be ahead of us now." "That's beyond my college physics, good buddy," he said, leaning on the railing. "I almost wish I never saw the boat. Or we could arrive at the same place, but earlier or later. It's impossible to say. At least they had somehow escaped Allsworthy's wrath at Bathurst." Loftus thought back to Appleton and the destroyed cabin. John and Kath lived a quiet life in Vermont, and now they were trapped in an unknown time and space passageway. He could hardly believe it himself. "How much food is left down there?" "Weeks, maybe years. It's packed tight." "I'd give $1,000,000 for a good steak," said Loftus. He folded his hands on the rail and grinned. "Or cold beer." "Yeah, or to see the stars and the sun, not this stage production out here." Through his bunch-off, the colored particles spewed through the sails. His dreams had ceased since his voyage on the passageway began, but he never stopped thinking about his early life on Ta-Buhn-Shar and the attacking Creods. Would he ever see Earth again, or would he enter a new world? "Captain." Loftus opened his eyes. His bushy-haired friend nudged his ribs. "Captain, I see something out there." "What have you been drinking, Zach?" "Looks more like bumps on the horizon." Loftus grabbed the railing, hoisted himself up. Zach noted a point where the darkness met the luminescent sea. "I don't see anything, Zach." "To your right, behind the sails." Loftus followed Zach around the sail supports. Across the passageway, a pinpoint arched upward like a tube light. "Well, this looks mighty interesting." "Might be another slab," said Zach. "It's tough to judge the distance." Loftus stroked his beard. He wondered if DeLuca and the others were also swept toward this area. "Smaller lights. Yep, I see them." Zach raised his head and yelled into the darkened dome. "Land ho! I had my doubts whether we'd survive this, Captain. Don't give me that old Loftus luck story." "It is the Loftus luck, no doubt about it." "Feel like bloody Columbus," he said, rubbing his hands together. "Yeah, well, Columbus had mutineers, Zachy." Loftus patted his old friend on the shoulder and leaned forward. "The other vessel is gone, but why are we alone out here?" "Imagine the technology of this passageway. We've talked about it since we left Bathurst. To traverse the galaxy like this is extraordinary." "I still say your Ta-Buhn-Shar had a lot to do with it." "Maybe," said Loftus. A distinct array of tiny lights formed a horseshoe pattern on what resembled a darkened mountainside. The sails rotated and the colored particles spread outward. "Look, we're turning like it was pre-programmed." Loftus propped his elbows on the rail and rested his chin on his folded hands. The charged particles looped over the sails and formed a thin line to something atop the mountain silhouette. As the boat was drawn closer, Loftus identified a lighted trail along a mountain gap surrounding an energy-filled fjord. There must be some kind of life ahead. "Movement along the lights, Captain. Look." "I see it. Must be our welcoming committee. Wherever the hell we are." He faced Zach and looked into his deep eyes. "Why is it I'm getting that old-time feeling again? You know that feeling, Zach." Zach closed his eyes. "Yes, sir. I know it very well." As they were drawn closer, the little lights extended from a protruding white dock and at an angle up the dark mountain. At least a dozen beings with phosphorescent blue eyes marched in the low light toward the dock. "Oh boy." Zach's eyes popped open. What in God's name? The black velvet-shelled beings, no more than 5 feet high, had tapering necks, oblong heads, and penetrating azure eyes. They must be machines of some kind. "Goons," said Zach. The sail particles connected high into the mountains and acted as a rudder, steering the vessel closer to the dock. After his dreams and the experience of the alien at Bathurst, Loftus tried to assure himself that these faceless creatures were benign. As they trekked along the dock, he cupped his hand. "My name is Tom Loftus. Can you hear me?" Somehow he sensed the grebes, as they were called, understood his words. As the vessel slowed along the dock, intimate knowledge seized his consciousness. Even though he could not see it, more grebes filled a bright cavern inside the mountain. Nonverbal communication. Following his thoughts, Loftus leaped over the rail and onto the solid slab. Zach landed next to him. The grebes immediately divided into two groups. He studied their featureless human outline as they surrounded him, and then retreated with him and Zach like cadets in a military parade. His thoughts clouded as he tried to understand why they headed for the cavern. Zach shrugged his shoulders. The old Loftus luck. It's either really good or really bad. No, it's more than that, but I just don't understand it. But I will. Chapter 49. From the lighted rock entrance, the white shoreline bordered a grainy trail just like under Bathurst Island. Knowledge continuously entered his brain like water cascading over a prodigious cliff. The grebes existed here from the time of Ta-Buhn-Shar. Loftus knew Kath and John had accompanied DeLuca through this very opening, but they had arrived years in the past. Zach, they were here long ago. Do you sense that? How is this possible? Something about that passageway, Captain. It warps time and space. The grebes silently led them inside. The carved cave reminded him of the complex at Appleton. The grebes planned to bring them to a preparation area and process them for transfer to the planet. They would temporarily alter internal speech patterns and give them knowledge of the culture and the proper clothing. Loftus worried about his friends as he and Zach descended into the mountain. When were they brought in here? Are they on the planet? Does the passageway really alter time? His internal awareness vanished with his questions, and he was left with a vacant feeling. Perhaps these machines had reached the limits of their instructions. The rocks sloped upward and crystallized into a spectacular glass cavern. "I wonder what's on this planet," said Zach, "if it is a planet." "Where is Ta-Buhn-Shar?" asked Loftus. "We need to know this." "Confidentially, Captain, I don't think it's number one on their list of things to do." Loftus faced dozens of the minute creatures. "Earth, our planet is controlled by a single Creod. Do you understand?" As he spoke, two of the grebes firmly grabbed his arms and legs and hoisted him onto a glass cube. When they released him, a brilliant aqua field, intensified at his toes, started up his legs. Loftus watched in amazement as leather boots, with tassels and baggy tan leggings, spontaneously formed. His skin tingled as the field progressed, draping his upper body with a faded pink shirt and pullover of the same tightly knit material. The advancing field paused at his bundschaft and then continued up his neck. He was still breathing heavily when he opened his eyes. The grebes were gone. "I don't feel like I'm speaking another language, Zach," said Loftus as he tried to extricate himself from the table. "How would we know?" "Why have you trapped us here?" His table hummed forward. Zag in his baggy brown top and pants was now moving. Embedded in the smooth glass crystal ahead were several darkened archways that brightened to a simple village with huts and dirt streets. Humans in loose-fitting clothing walked freely amidst a few larger pastel-skinned creatures with shaggy hair. "Looks like a cross between a brontosaurus and a horse," said Zach. Smaller, short-haired creatures closely resembling muscular dogs darted occasionally between the wooden buildings. "We're headed toward two different openings, Zach. We have to break loose. Meet at the largest public building in the village." "Understood, Captain." As he passed under the archway, another wave of understanding reassured him the grebes placed all travelers onto the planet. Their fascination with the Bundschaft centered on his ancient beliefs of the planet. They thought the Bundschaft led to answers for survival of every Mantari in the universe. His paths would straighten if he placed his blind trust in Ta-Buhn-Shar. All things passed
through Ta-Buhn-Shar. "Zach, I can't see you,"
I'm inside the other archway, Captain.
he said in a muffled voice. "I sense the Grebes. They're telling me to trust in Ta-Buhn-Shar. Once we're outside the village, on the planet, we have to locate this Ta-Buhn-Shar."
I think that's the ticket to all of this, Captain.
Zach's voice faded in a blast of light that nearly blinded Loftus. He closed his eyes and floated off the table. His arms moved freely and he tumbled into the glare until he lingered above a dirt road. He tucked and rolled onto the grit, but quickly regained his footing. Behind him, a small square surrounded by wood and light stucco buildings looked similar to Earth. He walked through the warm air and across the dirt alleyway shadows. Two men with scraggly gray hair pointed at him as he wandered along the buildings. Zach should have followed him through the archway. Loftus did not see him. Was this the Mantari home to the ancient Ta-Buhn-Shar? A few people passed him without notice as he neared the square and sat on a weathered wood bench. He marveled while being on another planet as he dragged his boots through the rusty soil and peered through the trees at the yellow sun. The push carts and wagons pulled by sloping, necked horse creatures transited the square. A cluster of villagers gathered along trays of colorful vegetables across the other side, and he smelled meat cooking. More official-looking men in smooth tan fabric clothing entered the red-tiled hall next to a towering blue spire. A crowd cheered in the distance. Loftus feared the Grebes had sent Zach to another location on the planet. He stood again and cut across the square. People chattered around the marketplace, and his transformed brain actually understood the language. When he looked back, the two old men from the alley, dressed in faded green rags, continued to find him fascinating. They shouted across the square.
"Auric Somes! Auric Somes!"
Loftus wandered across the square, but he could hear men shouting from behind. Other men circled around him and continued shouting. A bushy, gray-haired man in a dusty coat with a black fringed collar pushed the two old men away. The villager in a crimson cloak followed him up to Loftus. The villager waved papers at the bushy-haired man.
What about the land purchases, Darbolt?
These still aren't. "Is this the planet of Ta-Buhn-Shar?" asked Loftus. Both of the old men pointed directly at Loftus.
"Ta-Buhn-Shar! He talks of Ta-Buhn-Shar!"
"Again, is Ta-Buhn-Shar on this planet?" asked Loftus.
"He answers to Ta-Buhn-Shar. He is the Auric Somes,"
said a man with missing front teeth.
You fell from the air,
said another man, gyrating his arms.
"From nothing. You are the Auric Somes, the evil."
"I am not evil. You don't understand. The Grebes..."
"Liar! Liar! It is not permitted to have evil in our midst. The tribunal must be warned. The Tolton will kill Ta-Buhn-Shar worshippers in the Askrans. You are evil."
"Why is Ta-Buhn-Shar evil?"
"Ah, he has admitted his guilt with Ta-Buhn-Shar,"
exclaimed the toothless man. They both backed away when Darbolt pushed them back. "I have admitted nothing," shouted Loftus.
Go on your way, friend,
said Darbolt. Darbolt moved with the man in the cloak across the square. The two old men repeatedly looked back as they ran and finally disappeared back into the alley. Loftus moved in the opposite direction. He passed along the thick diamond-paned windows and a few open-air shops strewn with silver and gold trinkets. He saw himself reflected across a dozen separated glass panes. They had given him baggy brown leggings, tied at the waist with a fiber cord. His dull pink shirt was dyed in perfectly, and the suede boots were laced up to his ankles. The bundschaft, given to him by his dying father on a distant planet, glistened in the sunlight. The Grebes claimed the bundschaft was the key to Mantari's survival. He spent the next 10 to 15 minutes looking for Zach in the square, and then stepped inside the center gazebo. A few villagers leaned on the stone balustrade as he sat on the edge. The winding hilly streets stretched beyond the square into the countryside. A ruddy woman with a brown bandana half smiled when he turned. "Where am I?" Her brow tightened.
"Why would you ask?"
"I'm lost."
"You are in the mead. Where else would you be?"
"Who is the Tolton?" She hesitated.
"The Tolton rules the mead, of course."
And Ta-Buhn-Shar? Her face hardened and she tightened her bandana.
That is not to be spoken.
Why not?
Do not put yourself in jeopardy. Do not.
She spun around and scurried back into the square. He watched her blend into the crowd that had gathered on the dirt road. In his dreams, the Montang revered Ta-Buhn-Shar. One of the shaggy, long-necked creatures, as large as a horse, inched toward the gazebo and dipped his fluffy head under the roof. Loftus studied its fist-sized, powder blue eyes. He smiled and ran his fingers along the soft fur snout. The animal's mouth opened, revealing chunky, rounded white teeth. Loftus retracted his hand, and the animal's blue tongue licked his arm. The tongue was smooth. He laughed loudly. You remind me of a horse. The animal exhaled through a single rounded nostril and dipped its head again. Loftus grinned and again rubbed its snout. A man in sweeping green fabric appeared from behind a supply cart to his right.
How much do you bid on the Gwampas? He's young and can haul a hefty load alone.
How much would you suggest I bid?
Start the bidding at 50 garrets.
50?
Well, maybe I was a little hasty, sir. 35 garrets.
The Gwampas brushed his soft snout against Loftus's arm. You have him well trained.
See, he's smart, an intelligent animal.
I will pass until I need a Gwampas. The man exposed his large teeth again.
I am at the Wayward sector. You asked for Elmon.
I will, said Loftus, again rubbing the Gwampus' snout. The animal's triangular ears perked up and it skirted around the gazebo. Loftus smiled and walked around the rim. Spicy food aromas wafting down from the hills produced pangs in his stomach. The gazebo shook and the ground rumbled. He turned toward the dirt road. Red and black uniformed men with spiked glossy black helmets and wide breastplates raced the white Gwampas toward the square. Loftus stepped out of the gazebo. He gazed over his shoulder at the curved hilly road as several Gwampases raced across the square. The Gwampas quickly surrounded him and the dust-covered men leaped to the ground. In one motion they removed sharp steel swords from their black sheaths. In the square, the two old men in dirty clothes tagged after uniformed men and a contingent of dog-like animals. The toothless man pointed at him and jumped up and down.
There! An agent of Ta-Buhn-Shar!
The soldiers blocked them with their swords, and the pink-eyed dog creature sniffed at his feet. A chunky, unshaven guard stepped forward up to Loftus. These men are citizens of the mead, and they claim you appeared from the air in the alley. How do you respond to the charges, Orc Soames? I respond, said Loftus, displaying his teeth, by telling you I don't know what you're talking about. Uncas has a witness, said the guard. He waved the other man forward. Alos, what did you see?
He is the Orc Soames, Yarish. We saw him appear. No one does such things without the help of Ta-Buhn-Shar.
Loftus shook his head and half closed his eyes. Suppose he's right.
See? He admits.
One of the dogs growled and Alos kicked him.
Foolish arsenic, foolish.
Why hate Ta-Buhn-Shar? I don't understand.
The truth comes out,
said Uncas. The guard thought for a moment before he faced Loftus. The Protectorate will bring you to the tribunal for questioning and trial. The guard motioned his men closer and they scattered the Arsecs with their swords. Loftus stared at the glistening steel. I'm innocent. Then you will prove it, liars, and those guilty of Ta-Buhn-Shar worship will be thrown into the Cadia, the acid pit. The Tolton allows no demons or evil in our midst.